Awesome. Well, I have Albert Annis here today. He's the founder of ValleyDAO, an exciting bio-DAO that's working mostly in the synthetic biology space, something a little different than some of the other bio-DAOs out there right now. I'm excited to talk to him about what's going on at ValleyDAO right now and find out how he got started on this awesome project. So thank you for being here, Albert.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so how did you first learn about the DAO concept?
I think I learned about DeSci before DAOs. I knew what a blockchain was, and I knew what crypto was and tokens and things like that. And when I was at a conference, like a networking session after the conference, it was like a biotech startup conference type of thing with investors and things like that. And I was speaking with an old acquaintance of mine, and she started mentioning, that these Discord servers where people are talking about biotech and blockchain at the same time. And I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," because I've worked in the field, in the synthetic biology field for the last 8 years as a student, as an entrepreneur, and as a community builder for different organizations. But crypto has always been this like adjacent thing where I have a lot of like computer science friends for some reason, and they all knew about this. So I learned about it through them. They started investing in like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I was like, okay, imitation behavior of us humans, like we tend to do the same thing as our peers. So I got into that, started learning more about it, and eventually started digging deeper into the technology itself. And the more you start doing that, the more you realize, okay, you could actually apply this in quite an impactful way to coordinate and orchestrate different kinds of activities, whether that's entrepreneurial activity or financial activity or community activity. So I started like digging into these different Discord servers, got integrated. This was back in late 2021 with the whole DeSci landscape map. It was all over the place and was continuously being updated. It was such a fun period. And I thought, there's some space for potentially a synthetic biology DAO. Let's see what we can do there. My intention was never to let's create a fully blown out DAO, but just let's gauge for interest in this area, and then it just kind of naturally, organically started to emerge from the different Discord communities.
Amazing. I think your journey has a lot of similarities to mine as far as getting to know these communities via Discord, starting to chat with people, and then all of a sudden you have an entire new org that's coming out of a conversation, and there's so many exciting things being built in the space. Can you tell us the mission of ValleyDAO, or kind of the main goals of the project?
Yeah. What was a big motivation for me when I got into the world of DeSci was that all of the projects were focusing on human health, which I believe that's a super important field. And I know, a lot of people and their families and potentially their children, might suffer from certain rare disease, or one of their parents gets Alzheimer's or cancer. That's a real thing, and that people get very motivated by that to do something about it. My frame of thinking there is I think these are really important things, as I said before, but we're not thinking about the health of our planet. Potentially, we might not be thinking about it that much because not a lot of people maybe realize that we can actually actively do something about it using technology. So that was sort of my motivation of synthetic biology has the opportunity to solve a lot of these different issues. It's still quite an early industry, and there's still a lot of work needed to be done. But if we can get this field to a stage where it is much easier to innovate, to create companies, to get a working product that can actually capture market value. Then we can start seeing, adoption of these more sustainable solutions all across different industries. So what ValleyDAO is doing is that we're building a highly incentivized community. So we're leveraging tokenization to drive new incentives for collaboration and co-funding of different research projects in this field, and then sort of like forming a partnership between the DAO and the funded research projects. So we like to see the DAO as an extension of the researchers that we fund, and as a way for those researchers to tap into this pool of talent to continuously help them into getting to the next stage. As I mentioned before in my talk, like the majority of research funding in synthetic biology right now is going towards things that cannot always be translated. They're very exciting things, and they definitely, result in, mentions in like Forbes and like big news outlets, but they don't have any practical application, right? So researchers have had a tendency to focus on areas where there is room for discovery, because that can ultimately get published, and publications, as we've spoken about many times, leads to more funding, and that's like the flywheel of doom. So how can we break that, right? There's a lot of academics out there who want to drive an impact, but the incentives are not there for them. So what we do is like we come in and we fund primarily translational research, so things that have managed to demonstrate a proof of concept through previous work that researcher has done. And then we ideate together with the researcher of like, okay, what are the key milestones that you need to hit with the funding that we're providing to you to ensure that whatever comes out from this research project has a commercial outcome, or might be interesting for a venture capitalist to throw more money at, right? So that it can properly get developed. That's really our angle, and like the community is our superpower. Like since we started in early 2022, we've grown from 4 like active people. There's always like the active people, and then the surrounding cheerleaders or like. But we've grown into like 45 active people, and I personally haven't seen an organization grow that fast where when I say 45 people, I really mean like active people who spend at least 2 hours per week, coming to the table and help us think what is like the best next step forward with all of these different research projects.
That's awesome. And on the research topic, I know you shared in your talk that there are several different projects that you all are collaborating on with regards to IP NFTs and also a spin-out. Can you tell us a little bit more about the project involving lipids?
Sure. Yeah, so that project is with the university, the building that we are in right now, Imperial College London. It's with Professor Rodrigo Ledesma Amaro. He is working at the Department of Synthetic Biology here. And what he is, what he's built his reputation around is this particular type of yeast called Yarovia lipolytica. And it's a type of yeast that can natively produce a lot of lipids, a lot of fats, a lot of oils. And that might not sound super sexy, but like these oils, like they are heavily used in industry. And the majority of different oils, whether that's a food oil or whether that's like a biofuel oil, that's all derived like from fossil-based resources. But what this yeast can do is that it can produce it using more renewable sources of input. Like all biological manufacturing processes, they need some sort of input, whether that's sugar or whether that's something else. But ideally you don't want to use sugar, because sugar, you need cropland to grow it, and the process for how you grow those crops might not be super sustainable. But why biology is super interesting here is because biology can literally transform things that we would consider as waste, such as like agricultural like side streams that just sits there in huge stacks on different farmland, and eventually these things get burned up. But you can actually use that to feed these microorganisms, and they will turn it into a value-added product. So that's the project with Imperial. We're looking at particularly creating oils that resemble palm oil, given as you might have heard in the news and like conventional media, that the palm oil industry, like we have to ship it all across the globe, and these fats are very difficult to replace due to their properties. But we can recreate those same lipids in the lab, and we can do it anywhere in the world. So we save on transportation costs, and we also save the biodiversity loss that occurs from growing the palm trees, right? Yeah, so
Exciting.
that's it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's been amazing to get the full update here at the conference as far as where ValleyDAO is at today. Y'all have accomplished a ton in the last year alone, and I'm excited to keep following your project. So thank you so much for sharing your time today. Where can folks find you online, and where can they find ValleyDAO online?
Yeah, you can find us at valleydao.bio, and through that website you can read more about our work, our mission, what we want to do, and you can also learn about how you can get involved. If you are a scientist, researcher in the field of synthetic biology, and you want to commercialize your research and bring it to the next stage, ValleyDAO can help you in getting your research funded and to the market. If you're interested in decentralized science and you have a synbio background, maybe you're not at a stage where you want to commercialize your research, but you want to be part of a community, you can also get involved through those means as well.
Thank you, Albert. And if you're interested in learning more about the decentralized science movement, make sure to check out dci.london. They have monthly meetups here in London, and they put on a great conference. I really recommend people check it out.